Hey peeps, Sarah here from Sparrow Springs, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am working on this colored pencil drawing of a koi fish. I'm using my Faber-Castell Polychromos colored pencils, and we are going for a more realistic look. And while that is going, I am going to share a little story time with you. But before I do, today is day 6 of my Tubetober challenge, where I'm posting one video a day for the month of October. So if you are new here, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications to see when I post new videos. Now, I've met a lot of different artists over the years, some of them working in their profession, and some of them are just hobbies, but there have been a handful of artists that really kind of stood out to me, and there's one guy in particular, we'll just call him Ryan, but this one guy really kind of intrigued me in a certain way. Ryan had his own gallery downtown, which if you have your own gallery, you know that it's expensive. A studio space costs money in the sense of utilities and renting the space and whatever else is all included in there. I don't know, I've never had a studio space outside of my house. But he was literally making a living selling his own paintings, which I would say is quite rare in the art world. So when I see people like this, I like to just make mental notes and talk to them. Some people are more open than others about their work, but Ryan in particular was quite protective of his work, and I get that. And I wasn't trying to learn all of his secrets and whatnot, but just kind of wanting that interaction artist to artist. His work was intriguing in a way because by all other standards, most would say that his work was extremely underpriced. He was selling really large paintings, probably like 5 foot by 5 foot canvases for probably around $500. And some of his smaller stuff would be anywhere from $50 to $100. And I noticed that because his gallery was partially his studio space, he had some of his paints laying out, and he was using really cheap acrylic paint. So like the Basics brand of acrylic paints that come in the tubes, and most of his work was done in acrylics. So he had really cut the cost of his materials by buying a lower grade of acrylic paints, and he was stretching his own canvases, and he had kind of a workflow down to where he could complete, he said, I think 10 to 15 paintings a day. So when you kind of put that in perspective, he was making pretty good money. Now, as far as subject matter, he had quite a few paintings of different subjects. Some were animals and some were landscapes and whatnot, but they were all very much more impressionist and a lot of abstract. But he did something that it's quite common now, but at the time it was not. In fact, I don't know that I had ever seen it before at that time, but he would put a high gloss finish over the top of his paintings. And it wasn't resin or epoxy or anything like that. It was some sort of industrial grade gloss that he wouldn't tell me where he got it, but obviously he told me it was something along that lines. And he said that he would spray a couple coats of this industrial gloss finish on all his paintings, and it just added so much depth to his paintings. And then some of the other paintings he did were really interesting in that he actually painted on the back of glass. Now this was also really intriguing to me because I asked him if he basically had to paint it backwards, like your front layers you would have to do first and work backwards. And again, I wasn't trying to get him to like spill all his secrets or anything, but I was genuinely curious, and honestly, more than anything, I was just kind of troubleshooting out loud because I do that. If I see something I really like, then I want to figure out how it's done and try it. And honestly, that's part of the reason why I got into so many different mediums. And he had actually kind of gotten a little defensive at this point, and he said, you know, I can tell I've got something different because I've got all the college students like with their noses pressed up against the glass and everything, trying to figure out how I did it. And, you know, it kind of sounded prideful at the time, but I mean, I get it. I get that he was doing something very different. And we live in a kind of tri-college town, I mean, there's 3 major colleges, but there's a lot of colleges in this particular area. So a lot of art students come in and they're being taught in a very traditional manner. And he has something that is completely unique that they're not teaching. So I get why he was defensive, in that there's probably a lot of people that are trying to figure out his secrets. But something that I like to ask pretty much every artist is, how did you start? I want to know the beginning stages, like starting from 0, because you can look at all of these artists online with a lot of followers, or you can look at artists that have their own studio space and you see them where they're at now. But the real magic is, where did they start? Where is the small beginnings? How did they build themselves up? That's actually a challenge that I have been facing, in that, you know, how do you grow a following from basically 0? So it's always something that I like to ask other artists. And this is the most fascinating part of all of it. And he said he started by doing art yard sales. So just either out in front of a business or out at his house, like the way people would have a yard sale or a garage sale. He just sold his art that way. And it was enough to get him started, to get him off the ground. So I have not tried this yet, but it's on my to-do list to actually try this at some point, hopefully next summer. So I'm going to try it and see if I can do something with it. So the reason that I share this story with you, first of all, it was kind of a pivotal moment for me to just see the different beginnings for different artists, and really encourages me to think outside the box a little bit. But if you're an artist, or you have any sort of desire to do something like that, don't give up, and don't feel like you have to take the route that everyone else took. Don't feel like if you didn't go to college that you can't do art for a living. Fortunately, I do have the luxury of not needing to be the breadwinner in my house, but I know plenty of others who are making even 5 or 6 figures from their artwork. So it is possible. Just keep growing and keep trying. I think my biggest regret has been not being more consistent with it sooner. I spent way too much time comparing myself to others and wanting to be where they were at. And honestly, just in the past couple years, buckling down and really trying to improve my artwork, I see more improvement in 2 years than I have in the previous 10 years that I was trying to market myself. So I hope you guys find that encouraging. Post in the comments, what is something that you want to achieve someday? And also hit the like button if you've ever had an experience with a total stranger that stuck with you in a good way, kind of the way Ryan did for me. And that's all for now, peeps, and I will see you in the next video.